Greetings folks, this here is the Mac 17. This is not the review, but there's many things within that review that I want to expand upon because there's a few things that this laptop is doing that many other laptops are not, and we just have some new hardware, at least new to me. So I want to expand on, for this video, the 2070 Max-P Super that is inside our 2020 second generation Mac 17. This one features the 10th generation Intel 8-core 16-thread 10875H. I believe that's what it's called. So the performance on this particular GPU, and not even just inside this laptop, but you may have noticed that many of the 2070 Supers versus the base model 2070 Max-Ps, when they're pulling the same wattage, the performance is pretty close to each other. And that could be a bit of a bummer for those that are interested in the Super variant of the 2070. Let me put a little bit of method to the madness here and explain to you why this is happening. We need to first start off with the desktop variant. The desktop 2070 is a 175 watt part. The desktop 2070 Super has more transistors, more CUDA cores, but what makes it shine is it gets 215 watts, okay? So that extra 40 watts is a big deal in order to make that laptop have a higher frequency. Inside of laptops, we really don't have that luxury. In this particular case, we can compare a 2070 Max-P at 115 watts, and right below that, you can see that we have the Super also at 115 watts, and the frame rates are nearly identical. You could benchmark to your blue in the face, go back and forth across many games, and at the very most, you may see a 5% difference, one favoring the other back and forth. But one thing is for certain, the frequency of the 2070 Super compared to the 2070 Max-P when both are pulling 115 watts is about 250 megahertz less. And this is not abnormal. This is the nature of the beast when we are wattage limited on a more powerful GPU that is relatively the same in many regards. We are just going to get a lower frequency. And as a result, you may be thinking, wow, why would I buy the Super variant? Well, in most cases, I would just tell you not to, okay? But this is what electronics does with their Eluktroboost, and it crams a bunch of wattage into that GPU so you can get higher performance. Now, unfortunately, with Eluktroboost, you cannot verify the wattage being pulled with software. This is just how Eluktroboost works. I'm not going to share any trade secrets other than it is a hardware modification to essentially trick the GPU. The only way that you are going to be able to verify the wattage is using something like this, and I will introduce an unlisted video within the description showcasing exactly how this works within the review of this particular chassis, as I do not want to ruin a good thing and let a bunch of this great information go out and then have other companies come in with a slap on the wrist that says, I'm sorry, we're going to have to take this away. Because when we activate Eluktroboost on this Super 2070, we now get that lovely 15% performance bump that we want to see out of this GPU. So what does this mean? It means wattage is king. And in this gigantic landscape of NVIDIA GPUs on desktops, well, within laptops, they're wattage neutered. So the performance difference as we move up a tier is so small. In fact, it's so small in the desktop segment, it's even smaller in the laptop segment. And thanks to companies like Electronics that are willing to boost their GPUs past the stock spec, we can now get the kind of performance that we want out of these. However, if you're not interested in a laptop from them and you're just interested in a laptop that features the 2070 Max-P or the 2070 Super Max-P, and you're back and forth between the two, let me just give you just one good argument why the Super could be a better particular GPU, and that is with the lower frequency of the core clocks, there's a really good chance that it could run a little bit cooler than the traditional 2070 Max-P that we've been used to. Other than that, if the chassis can thermally cool the 2070 Max P and it's cheaper, under most circumstances, that would be the one that I would suggest. And those of you out there that are really into benchmarks and have been following this just tooth and nail, you may have noticed this already. The difference between a 2070 at the same wattage as the 2070 Super is what, maybe 8% on a good day? There's just not a whole lot there. With Eluktroboost, that changes that. And this is just something I wanted to expand on a little bit for you guys, as there's so much information that's going to be crammed in this review. I feel that it was necessary to start to branch out on a few of these topics and expand upon them for you today. So that's going to do it for now. This was just a little bit of talk on the 2070 Max P Super, and that's going to do it. I'm Bob Wattage, and I'll see you in the next video.